Who is Bagsy? Bagsy is a black British artist from South London. I've been performing seriously for 15 years now. Started off with locking, then I moved over to popping. Eventually I discovered house, which I was really loving for a long time. And finally, I came across waacking during my ventures in Japan. The waacking community, originally it's from the gay community, waacking dances from the gay clubs. And it's all about self-expression, it's all about being yourself. So when I was involved in that community, first and foremost, it was a privilege to be allowed to be in that community, because as a straight male, it's not difficult, but it's important that I acknowledge and respect the culture of the dance that it came from. So being allowed to be included was an eye-opener for me. Bagsy, before dance, he was an aeronautical engineer, studied at Loughborough University. Before I discovered dance, really discovered dance, especially waacking, I was very introvert. I was very quiet. I thought that being loud, being open, being outspoken was too much. I honestly thought that to be masculine, to be male, is to be quiet, cool, reserved, bit of bravado, just not be too much. Anything where you're being too extrovert, at the time, my mind was focused towards that being more feminine. And I was like, oh, I'm a man, therefore I shouldn't be doing that. There was a lot of I shouldn't, there was a lot of expectations, there was a lot of limitation that was indoctrinated to me by society of how a man or a young boy should act in society. And you know, it took a lot of time to unlearn that. That's when the waacking came. The waacking helped me to unlearn this conditioning that prevented me from actually being myself wholly. And I don't mean like being crazy and flamboyant, but just being 100% comfortable with who I am and unapologetically black and unapologetically me. And in that moment of that self-discovery, of that oneness, of loving myself 100%, I became empowered. I became more open-minded, stronger character, more compassionate, and more in tune with not just masculinity, but my femininity as well. When I started learning waacking, when I started traveling and meeting people, having conversations that I was like, wow, there's actually more to me than I even knew. I've got so much more potential. Waacking was the one whose main narrative, whose main ethos is you have to be yourself. You have to be 100% true, otherwise you're faking it. You have to start from there, not from the technique, not from the skills, not from the fancy combos, but from acknowledging yourself wholly and telling your real story. That is where you start from waacking, and that's why it's so important. I don't need other people to validate me. It's really difficult. And I can say that because it was difficult for me before I was Bagsy. But now I'm Bagsy, I feel like I got so much more to give, so much more to do. So many more people and tell this story to help, because it can take a toll on one's mental health. Keeping everything bottled inside, all these emotions, all these feelings of not wanting to express because so-and-so said so, you shouldn't. But you have to let go. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. You are not less of a man by doing that. You are more of a man. It takes courage to express your feelings and emotion. And in doing so, you are empowered by it. Nobody can touch you because you are comfortable being vulnerable. And that for me was the biggest lesson that I learned from my transition from Michael to Bagsy.